Well, first I want to say thank you all for being here today, for everyone that flew in to hear this talk about hacking your brain. My name is Adonica Murphy, and most of you know me as a portrait photographer. Over the last few years, a lot of things have been changing for me. My focus is still photography, but I've been learning so much more about the brain, so much more about the chemicals that are released whenever we do imaginations or visualization. What I want to do is I want to teach you today how to hack your brain using visualization. That way you can have your goals at the forefront of your brain. Most of us, we tend to write a goal and then forget about it. Or we tend to put it in a journal and then we lock it in a desk somewhere. So I want you to know that the goals that we're going to make today, it doesn't have to be just photography related. I want you to think about your relationships, your family, your friends, your health, the different kind of commitments that you want to make for yourself. Those are the different goals that I want us to work on. I've been with the portrait system for the last 7 years, so I've helped a lot of photographers going through the startup. The main thing that I see that comes up often is mindset right here. There's a limiting beliefs that block you from thinking that you can have that $10,000 sale, that you can open that studio, or sometimes you feel like you have to stay, shoot, and burn, and I want you to know that you do not have to. So my question for you guys today, how many of you guys remember your goals from January? Are there any hands in the crowd? Does anyone? Okay, we've got one hand over here. Someone remembers their goal. Okay, my next question for you is, how many of you just wrote it down somewhere and forgot about it? Okay, we got way more hands on the people that forgot about it. And the people that are at home, I want you to be honest with yourself, because at the end of the day, this is just all about honesty with yourself, because no one else can go after our goals. No one else can help us achieve it. So I just want to make sure that you are aware of that, and that every goal you come up with after today, that it's for you. It's not for your kids. It's not for your husband. It's not for your wife. It's not for the generation to come. The thing is, when you are doing your best, they are all going to benefit from it because your cup is overflowing. So don't feel like it's selfish to say that this goal is entirely for me and not anyone else, because they will benefit from it, whether you realize it or not. So I want to talk to you about, most of you know, before I became a portrait photographer, I was a nurse practitioner. I worked the ICU and the emergency room for 10 years. That can be depressing. You see a lot of trauma that's going on. Prior to being a nurse, I came to this country illegally, was in foster care, wasn't the best situation. That's not who I am now, as you can clearly see. But that start, it had so many limiting beliefs for me. There's so many statistics about being in foster care. About 93% end up in prison, right? Here I am, not in prison. So many don't go to college. I don't have a high school education. I got my GED at 16 because I didn't go to school for 4 years. So I don't want you to think that I'm like this super smart person or anything like that. I'm dyslexic. I have a hard time keeping track. But over the years, I've learned to hack my brain. I've learned to work with what I have instead of judging myself. And I think that was one of the hardest things. So I'm gonna get a little bit nursey with you guys. I know all of you are photographers, but I really want you to understand what's happening up here. I want you to understand the chemicals that are being released. I want you to understand the different parts of your brain that you're activating. It's not just magic. It's not just, I'm gonna lay here and think about this dream, and then someone's gonna throw a Ferrari in my car or in my house. No, that's not what's gonna happen. I want you to think about measurable goals. Like maybe you are a $100 photographer and you're ready to 10x it. You're ready to be at 1,000 just for 10 images. I remember that's how I started off, was when Sue told me that I could make $1,000 for 10 images. I was working the ER, I was working the ICU, and in my head was like, who does this woman think she is? I'm like saving lives. I'm up here 12-hour shifts, and I'm not making close to that per shift, right? And it was so many different beliefs that I had for myself that the only way that I could make money was to go to school and do the things that everyone else told me that I should be doing. I graduated at 27. That was my first mental breakdown. I finished school, and I was like, what do I do with my time now? I've been in school and working super hard my entire life. You know, when you age out of foster care, there's no one there that's coming to pick you up. There's no house to go back to. There's no parent to call. It's just you. So I had to figure out how to make this work. How do I succeed in this world after I finished these 8 years of school, gotten all these student loans, and then I woke up and I realized I didn't like doing it. I used to. I loved doing it, but 10 years was way too long to watch people just not do their best. So I started learning more about the brain because I am a nurse and I get super obsessed when I start learning about something. So something that's interesting in your brain is most of your beliefs that you have, you've already developed them from the ages of 0 to 7 years old. You may be a 50-year-old man right now, and something that your mom said when you were 5 years old, it can stop you in your tracks from going after your goals. It can stop you from feeling like you can achieve something. It can even stop you from feeling like you deserve something. So let's talk about the brain. Let's talk about how it communicates. I'm sitting here and I'm talking to you words. Your brain, it stores everything in pictures, in feelings. It's different. It can understand what we're saying, but it has to translate it. And when it does translate it, it translates it into a picture in your mind. So this is called neuro-linguistic programming. So the same way that we can talk to our brain and we can store information, it's the same way you can learn to reprogram it. I like to call it laying new train tracks for myself. I have these old train tracks that my parents laid for me, that society laid for me, that told me that it's only this way or one way. But now I'm out here working the railroad and making new tracks. So that happens with neuroplasticity. There's different ways to activate neuroplasticity. You can go on trips, you can read, you can do meditation. A lot of times you can hire a coach that is certified who can go in and actually change those limiting beliefs out for you very quickly. So what I'm going to have you do is I want you to close your eyes. If you're at home, close your eyes and take a big deep breath in. And I want you to think of a memory. You don't have to tell me what that memory is. Make sure that it's a happy one though, because I don't want you guys crying just yet. And I want you to think, is this picture in black and white or color? Is it near or far from me? Is it bright or dim? And where is it located? And when you open your eyes, every single one of you will have a different answer on how that picture was stored. So you can do that with a memory, you can do that with feelings, you can do that with like the first time you gave birth. You can also do it with something that's angry. Okay, go ahead and open your eyes for me. Who wants to share what their picture looked like? Was it black and white in color? Or what was it? It was in color? Okay. What about you? Did you have a black and color? Okay. Did it feel like it was near to your face or far away?
Far away.
Yeah, and what happens is, so our brains, they will store, I like to think of it, I love to simplify everything I do. Even when I was nursing, I had to keep it simple. I like to think that we have two cabinets in our brain, right? Our truth section. And sometimes the information that gets stored in that truth section of the brain, it's not actually true. It's someone else's truth. And then you have the false section. That's also the section because, again, your brain is a supercomputer from the ages of 0 to 7 years old. It's processing so many different things. It's going around, it's like learning all the new colors. It's learning about the sky. It's learning about the brain. It's just learning all of this new things. As we get older, we get a little bit more rigid. That's why you can notice that kids can learn 2, 3, 4 languages, and you're on, Duolingo, and you're struggling. That's just like, that's it. You're struggling because your brain, it's not as, I like to say, pliable as when you're a kid. But again, that's 0 to 7 years old. Another thing that your brain doesn't know, it doesn't know what's true or false. What do I mean by this? We all have an animalistic brain. Like our brains have been evolving for millions and millions of years. TV, cell phone, movies, those are all new. Your brain hasn't had enough time to decide, oh, okay, this movie I'm watching is fake. This phone call I'm having, like this person isn't here with me. You can close your eyes and you can have that phone call, and your brain will think that person is there for you. If any of you have had a long distance relationship, that's how my husband and I started. We would lay in bed and close our eyes, and it would trick my body into thinking he was there, and I'd fall asleep so easily, and it's so romantic. But it got me thinking about all the different ways you can trick your brain. If I can trick my brain to thinking my husband is next to me while I'm sleeping, even though he's not, what about my goals? What about all the different things that I want to trick it into thinking it's true? So I don't know if any of you guys have seen like Inside Out or like The Lion King or anything like that. I was watching it and I was bawling my eyes out, literally just crying. And of course, my logical brain is like, girl, this isn't real. Why are you crying? You're not in danger. Like, this isn't happening to you. This is an animated cartoon. But your brain doesn't know. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand. It's the same thing when you watch a scary movie and you go to sleep and you have that nightmare. Your body thinks it's real. You start having your heart, it starts pounding, and you go into hyperventilating. It's kind of like PTSD, right? So chronic PTSD, some of us suffer from that. It's me. It's not some of you guys. It's really me. But my body can go into that state where it thinks something from the past is happening right now. So if that's true for all the bad things, what about all the good things that you guys want? What about the financial freedom that you talk about? What about the healthier version of you? What about the new home that you want? Can you put that into your brain and feel what it feels like? Yes, you can. Part of the hacking is knowing which part of your brain you're going to be able to activate. I want us to go back to the subconscious mind. Any of you ever drove home and you don't know how you got there? You're like, wow, I was on the highway, but I don't really know how I got to this garage, right? That's your subconscious mind taking over. And your subconscious mind, it has some primary focuses. That's going to be to keep your body safe, keep you alive, make sure that your heart is beating. If a lion shows up, tells you to run. If it's a lion you feel like you can attack, you might fight it. You're fight and flight. So those hormones are being released whether you recognize it or not. So among the other things here is it's here to protect and preserve your body, but it's also what's run the body. There's really only one thing that you are in control of in your body. Like, yeah, we can move our arms and stuff like that, but you're breathing. That's the only thing that you can use to change the different brain waves that's going on, whether you can take it from a high level where you're super anxious, or you can bring it down to a more relaxed state like meditation. That way you can access different parts of your brain. That's something I do when I'm goal making. I don't just look at something and I say, man, I just need to make 20 grand next month and I'm gone. No, I sit down and I get into the feeling of it. I get into what it's gonna be like, what it's gonna mean for my husband. He's gonna be like, you're helping with the bills this month. So what I'm gonna be able to invest in, what I'm gonna be able to buy, what trip I'm gonna be able to take myself on next time. It's just so many different things. The thing about your subconscious mind, it doesn't take in negatives, right? So have you ever been out with a friend, you see a couple that goes by and you tell your friend, girl, do not look over there, but he's around the corner. Your friend just turns around and just automatically looks. Like, why would you do that? I just asked you not to look. That's because your brain, your subconscious mind wants to know what it is. And yeah, your friend will turn back and she'll be like, I don't know why I did that. I'm so sorry. But that's what's going on. It's something that just happens automatically. So same thing when you tell your brain, do not eat this cookie. Well, later on, you're gonna eat the cookie. Like, don't put these hard rules on your subconscious mind, because now your subconscious mind is like, why don't I eat this cookie? You like when I eat this cookie. You release dopamine whenever I eat this cookie, and you feel sad right now, so I'm gonna make you eat this cookie whether you choose to or not. And that's the hard part, right? I mean, a lot of us struggles with that. But one of the beautiful things about your subconscious mind is that it loves to serve you. It's serving you now in different ways that you may not know. I like to tell people, you're manifesting whether you recognize it or not. You don't have to believe in it. But if you wake up and you see something negative on the news, all of a sudden you're in a bad mood. You don't want to talk to anyone. You need to learn how to release that, calm your brain down, and let it know that this thought isn't ours. But same thing if you wake up and you're in a positive mood, you wake up, hug your wife, maybe kiss your kids, shoot a little hoop or something like that, you're gonna have a much better day. Even if someone, when you're driving down the highway, flips you off, you'll be like, you go ahead, I hope you make it to where you're going. Compared to if you had started it in a really bad day, then you wanna flip them off and you wanna drive them down and you're like, where are you in a rush to go to? So we don't have to do that, right? And you're like, you should have left the house way earlier. But here's the thing, right? Everyone is living this world based on the experience that they had as a kid from that 0 to 7 years old that we talked about. Whenever we sometimes get offended or triggered, it's like it takes you back to a place of shame, maybe when you were a kid, for something that someone shamed you for. There's no telling what it is. And that's just kind of how the brain automatically works. So those train tracks I talked about earlier, if you've had a brain that's only been laid with negative train tracks, a lot of time you're going to experience more negative thoughts than positive thoughts. Your positive will be way down here, and your negative will be right up here. You'll complain about the waiter. You'll be like, there wasn't enough ice in the water. The cup has condensation on it. And it's like those things in the grand scheme of everything big, it doesn't matter. You can ask for some more water. You can get a paper towel and wrap it around the glass. Like, it's okay. So what if you could teach your subconscious mind what to look for? I like to call it little side quests. I am a gamer, so my husband and I met playing video games. My favorite part of the brain, it's the brainstem, right? But what's inside of that brainstem is really what gets me, I don't want to say get me going. That might be weird to say on this live. But it just gets me feeling good, because once I realized that I can control what I'm telling my brain to look for, I was like, oh, this really is a video game, and I can give it a side quest to go after what I want it to go after, not for it to go after what someone has started the day in a bad mood and telling me to look for more negative things. So let's think about it. Any of you ever bought a new car? I like to use a red Corvette. My husband has a silver one, but you buy this car, you're the only one with it. You're like, I'm gonna be the only one in the neighborhood. You pull out of the driveway, your neighbor now has a red Corvette. You're like, what the heck? How did he get a red Corvette? You drive to the grocery store, there's 2 more red Corvettes you're like, I just don't understand, because no one else in this community had the red Corvette. It's just supposed to be me. It's the same thing with your positive thoughts and your negative thoughts. If you sit there and you tell this part of your brain, the reticular activating system, it's what's responsible for what we focus on. I think that's a big thing that we have to realize. We can decide what to tell our brains to focus on. Same way your brain starts focusing on that red car and it's seeing it everywhere on the highway, you can do the same thing for money, for opportunities. You can do the same things for the things that you see in life. If you want to be healthier, you start seeing maybe people that look like you or who are doing healthier things. And it just kind of, you're like, huh, she looks just like me and she's able to do that? Maybe I can start doing that too. And then you start looking around and you start seeing more of it. You're like, there's so many more people that are just like me who are succeeding. A prime example of this is different friend groups, or like, let's use Facebook groups. As photographers here, you might be in a Facebook group where you see this photographer that's like, man, I just had a $70,000 month. And you're like, you had a $70,000 month? How? But then you're in this other group over here and you hear someone say, I'm not making any money. I am having these $20 sales. No one is buying anything. You're in the middle right here, right? So you get to decide what you're going to believe. Am I going to step over here with the lady that's having those $70,000 months? Or am I going to sit over here with the people that are complaining that there's no money to be made and that we are in a recession? We are. We're always in a recession. There's always crappy things going on in this world. No matter how great your life is, when I was in foster care, someone was probably having the best day of their lives. And that's always going to be the case. But you get to decide on how you're going to allow it to affect you. Am I going to stand over there with them and not make any money and ruminate about it? Or can I step over here and ask this person, hey, what are you doing? Who are you talking to? Where are you finding your clients? There is also another way that you can react to all of this that's going on. You can be the person that says, how the heck is she making $70,000 a month? My pictures are way better than her. My lighting is way better than hers. I have this amazing studio, but it's stinky. You can't do that. Why? Because now you're telling, remember, your subconscious mind is always listening. So if you're like, oh, she's sleazy for making $70,000 this month, blah, 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 she's showing off. Why does she have to post that? Your subconscious is like, oh man, if I make that 70 grand, that's what she's gonna think about me. She's gonna think I'm sleazy. I'm not gonna be able to post it. But if I'm over here and I can talk to them like, oh, I'm not making any money either. Now you've got a whole group. You leave there with that negative vibe and you're like, oh man, the next client that calls me is probably gonna say no. Okay, they may. But what if you were to tell your mind to think about the last time you had your own $10,000 sale? What did it feel like? What did it allow you to do? Did it allow you to pay your credit card down? Did it allow you to pay your studio rent? Did it allow you to buy a new car? What did it allow you to do? And then you can think back to this negative. What does that allow you to do, really? Do you just feel bad? Or do you feel good when you're around these people? Or do you feel drained when you think like this? I'm going to be honest with you. I've been different version of these, and I had to make the conscious decision to change my thoughts, to instead see that this lady is making $70,000 and say, God, the universe, the angel, my ancestors are showing me what's coming for me. It doesn't mean that she's stealing it away. It doesn't mean that there's no longer any opportunities for me, because there's always opportunity. Money is just an energy. Money is always flowing. Are you going to attract it, or are you going to think money is stinky? Or are you going to think that money just isn't for you? Money doesn't grow on tree. That's another my favorite. Or I have to work 10 times harder than everyone else to make the same money that they make. And that kind of sucks. So what I like to do is think of tying emotional experiences to your goals, whether they are about money, photography, relationships, your health, whatever it's about. What I would like for you to do today is just trick your own mind. Think about, when I leave here, you don't have to share it with me. You can say, I just want to test and see if I can activate my own reticular activating system. When I leave here, maybe you want to see someone else in sparkly cowboy boots, or maybe you want to see someone in a red scarf, or maybe you just want to see 2 more clients on your calendar. Start testing it out. Here's why. Some fun facts. Your brain, it's processing 11 million bits of information per second. The human body can only take in so much. Yes, we're a supercomputer, but our conscious mind cannot handle everything that's going on. It just physically can't. We would just pass out. But we do get really great downloads when we're calm and when we're in a really good mood, or when we're meditating. Sometimes you might go to sleep and you wake up and all of a sudden you're like, man, I have this idea for my photo shoot. I just need to go out here and get it. You've allowed your brain to rest. You've allowed it to just process what's to come next. So another fun fact is this is responsible for focus now. So would you like to have another $10,000 sale? Would you like to get up in the morning and refocus on that $10,000 and what it's going to do for you? Or are you going to wake up again for a second day or a third day or the 4th or 5th or 7th week of the month and say, no one's going to buy my pictures. No one's going to pay me. I'm not going to go to the gym. What if you start thinking about what it feels like when you do get up and go to the gym? I know I hate the thought of going, but man, once I get there and I start pumping out those weights, I'm like, I'm actually strong. I can't believe I'm doing this. I share this with you because this part of your brain has 70,000 thoughts a day. If you went ahead and put your goal in a journal and locked it in the back room or at the desk at your computer, and you don't really go there all the time, because my wedding pictures are in my computer desk somewhere on a USB drive. I can't tell you the last time I've even went back in there. But if there's 70,000 thoughts going on, isn't it your job to make sure that your goal is one of those thoughts? Isn't it your job to make sure that you're pulling your brain back out? And you mean you're pulling your goal back to the front. Here's why: because your brain is responsible for a multitude of things. Keeping you alive, yes, but it's also responsible for deleting information it doesn't think it's important. So you have to let it know that this information is important. Your goal is important. You have to let it know that we need this, that way we can feel better. We need this, that way we can become financially free. We need this, that way our relationships can become better. You can't just write it one time and then go on and then have 70,000 thoughts all day, and then next week you were like, gosh, I don't even remember what that goal was. I mean, and that happens a lot of different times. So the point in this is when you can go in and you can feel these emotions, it is manifesting. It is activating these different parts of your brain. It is telling you what to focus on. So you can trick your brain to release dopamine by the feel good. I'm going to get you guys to do it right now. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to think of the happiest moment you've had in your life. You don't have to tell me what that was like. You don't have to tell me what it was, but I really want you to take a big deep breath in and exhale. And I want you to think back to that day. Think back to how you felt in your body. Did you feel confident? Did you feel free? Did you feel joy? Did you feel like, I can't believe that this is happening? This might have been your first sale. This might have been your wedding. This might have been the first time he said, I love you. And then I want you guys to share with me, how are you feeling in your body when you're thinking about that memory, when you're thinking about that emotion? Is anyone comfortable sharing? What do you feel? You can raise, someone's smiling big in the group, so I'm guessing you guys are feeling really good over there. Everyone's like just cheesing. So who would like to tell me it's not happening now. It's not real. We're in this studio recording. How did you feel? You had a big smile on your face. Oh, Mike, my bad. She's about to get it right now.
So my thoughts were traveling around the world, and I just remember feeling like the calmness and freedom and just how easygoing life was traveling around.
And did you just feel that calmness right now as you were sitting there and smiling?
Yes.
Okay,
I could
good.
hear the ocean and smell the breeze and all.
Because your brain, right? Your brain is communicating to your body. It doesn't have to be me saying it, that thought. It's like those auditory, those visual, those feelings again. Would anyone else like to share how they felt or what their memory was like? You guys don't have to. I won't force you to do it. Okay, we got a guy that's answering. Okay. I like to put him on the spot because normally this is our kind of thing. Tell me, how did you feel?
This was it might be a little bit controversial, but I remember the time that I felt forgiven by God.
Wow.
Like
How did-
really free, because I was I was saved already, but I had kind of walked away in my heart and done some things, and one day in service, like, I felt completely forgiven, and I don't think there's any feeling in the universe that can compare to that.
I bet. When you were just thinking about that memory right now and that feeling, how did you feel in your body?
I felt free. I felt like a longing to go back to the moment.
Wow. And sometimes it's as close as you can get to it. That feeling, those emotions, they're anchored deep into our body and our brains, which is why I love it so much. It can send down those neural pathways so you can remember, you can feel it. And if you ever get into a moment of deep meditation and you can go back to that memory, it might not feel the exact same way, but it can get very close, which is why I like to remind us that our brain doesn't know what it's happening, if it's real or if it's make-believe. So it doesn't matter what your dream is, you get to have it. You get to have that goal and you get to trick your body into doing it. We're hacking our brains every single day. We're either hacking it to focus on the negatives or, like people in the audience today, thinking about the things that made them happy, hacking it to keep their body calm and release different hormones. So your feel good is going to be your oxytocin. It's going to be your dopamine that's coming out when you think of all the good things that are going to happen. But if you have a goal, right, and you sit there and you think, oh my God, I'm going to have to work so hard to get this $70,000. I'm going to be up all night. My back's going to be hurting. Why would your subconscious mind, that's here to protect you and serve you, want you to go do something that's going to cost you back pain and it's going to make you anxious. It's not. It's going to be like, girl, are you crazy? But if you say, this $70,000 a month, God, is going to allow me to pay off my credit cards. It's maybe going to allow me to put some money into savings. I'm probably going to feel a lot calmer. I won't have to stress about so much things. Your brain is like, oh, okay, you won't feel stress. You'll feel good. Let's go on this side quest. Let's see how we can find this $70,000 compared to all of the other things that we just focus on throughout the day. So what I want you to take away from just this part with the brain is making sure that you can realize that you can be in control of what you're feeling in your body based on the thoughts that you choose to have. It is a choice. We have 70,000 that goes on all day that we're not even the one making those thoughts. All of this information that we're processing. But now that you're conscious and you're aware, you can decide what you're going to focus on. And then today I want to teach you about a daily ritual that I also do for myself every day to make sure that I can get realigned. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying I'm always going to remember to do it, because you probably won't. It's a habit that you're going to have to build. If you're used to getting up and checking your phone and arguing with someone on Facebook and then putting it down and going on to argue, then yeah, that's what's going to happen most of the time. But if you get up and you make the conscious decision to say, hey, I did look at my phone, something did upset me, but I want to breathe and release it. And now I want to say I want to focus on my goal today. I want to go back to what it made me feel like. I want to go back to what that hormone was released in my brain. I want to go back to when I felt confident just from thinking about that. Then that's what your brain will focus on for the rest of the day. And I mean, I love that. So I want to go over some different tips of how you can activate that reticular activating system, right? You do have to make a choice to think about it. You cannot just put it in the desk anymore. I mean, now that you guys know this, I'm sure that you won't. What I like to do is, I love vision boards because I'm a visual person. We're photographers. So I love doing it that way. And yesterday I was talking to someone who also mentioned putting it in your password. You're going to type your password in 1,000 times. You might forget it and have to change it and add a 1 and an exclamation mark. But if you want to go on a cruise, maybe put cruise 2025. Maybe put Paris. We're always going to Paris. There's a picture on Paris. But maybe put Paris on there. And then you type it out several times a day. Let's say you're not a password person because you use LastPass or one of those things that makes a super long password that don't even make sense. Can you put it on a sticky note and put it on the bathroom mirror when you go in there to brush your teeth and just read it? Okay, maybe you can't do that. Can you put it on the refrigerator? That way late at night when you go to open it, you can at least see it. Put it on the milk. Put it somewhere that you know you're going to be in there. And don't just walk by it because out of sight. Remember, your brain deletes so many things throughout the day. You don't want it to delete your goal because you're not paying attention and because you made a choice not to put it to the forefront of your brain. Now it's a choice. That's all it is. It's just a choice moving forward from here. And I know a ton of us have journals. I have a lot of journals too that have several goals, but now I have sticky notes on my laptop. I'm editing, and my little sticky note is down there. I open it up and I move it up, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's right. I did say I was going to walk the dogs today. So then I can get up and walk the dogs and think about what it feels like to walk the dogs. And then think of anywhere else that you can put these goals. If you're more of like a podcast person, or maybe you need to record it and listen to it if you don't like writing it. Maybe you need to make it into a song. My husband, he's funny because he just sees me dancing in the house and I'm like, it's going to be a $20,000 a month. And he's like, man, this girl is crazy, but gosh, she always has these $20,000 months when she dances. So keep doing it. He's like, just keep dancing, please. So I just thought awareness, right? Being aware of the thoughts and not judging it. Like it does, we're going to have negative thoughts. We're going to get jealous. We're going to compare ourselves. You might, but you get to stop it. You don't have to continue down the bad train tracks of like, okay, that girl made so much money more than me. I don't really like her, blah, blah, blah. I'll never get to make the money because she's making all of it. If you compare it and you own it and you say, wow, I did compare myself, but now I'm comparing it like that's going to be me. Like the universe, my ancestors, God, he's showing me what's coming for me. That's how I have to spin everything. When I see other people there where I want to be one day, I'm like, okay, that's just my sign again that it's coming, that it's going to happen. And if you can make that shift in your brain when you see other people winning where you want to win, instead of it being like a bad jealous, make it a fun one. Like, dang, I am jealous that you're going to Spain again. I want to go with you next. And let them know, like, I look up to you. Like, you inspire me. There's so many people that I've met. Photography's only been the last 7 years of my life, and it's changed everything. But there's just been so many people that I've met along the way that has inspired me as I've watched them continue to grow. So I just wanted to share with you just kind of what my stuff looked like. This is in my bathroom. This was my 2021 goal. And I want to talk to you a little bit about what's on there. So I wanted to read. I had no rental properties. I wanted to have a rental property. I wanted to go scuba diving more, spend more time with my husband. Wanted to do yoga every morning. I do yoga, just so you guys know. I do the yoga. J-Lo is on there with a six-pack. Y'all, I did not get the six-pack. That was the one thing that just like didn't come true. But Paris was down there. I'd never been to Paris. Never. I never thought I would be taking international trips or doing all that. I had what I wanted to make that year. The year after, I visited Sue Price's self-value course. It was November 2022. I was there. I was depressed. I was killing it in like money-wise with photography. I'm making money, blah, 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 but I'm unhappy. I don't want to be in Mississippi anymore. The people here, they're just not my vibe. Just not my vibe. And I'm not from here. I'm originally from the Bahamas, so it's really different being in Mississippi. The water didn't match. It just wasn't the place for me. And I was complaining to Sue. I was complaining at self-value. I was crying. I was like, but I want to stay because I want to save all these people in Mississippi. And Sue literally looked at me dead in the eye, and she's like, you're not a tree. Move. And I was like, what? I'm not a tree? But it made sense. Like, all of a sudden, I was like, I'm not a tree. I can move. Like, I really can move. So I came home, and I told my husband, I was like, hey, we're moving. And he was just like, we've had this house for 10 years. What do you mean we're moving? I was like, I don't want to be in Mississippi anymore. Like, it's just, I don't want to be here. So what did we do? I drove to Tennessee. I looked at one house. My realtor thought I was batshit crazy. She was like, you're moving states and you only want to look at one house? She brought me to one beautiful white house. And I walked in, had a window. It had a window over the sink. And I looked out and I felt like it was my house. I felt it in my body. I had this big backyard. I have 2 dogs that I rescued. And in my head, I saw my dogs running in the backyard. And I had it was like a vision almost of my husband and I just having tea in the backyard and watching our dogs. And I came back and I was like, yeah, so this is the only house I'm looking at. And she is my real estate agent. She's like, hey, I'm a real estate agent. I've been doing this forever. You don't just look at one house and get the first house that you look at. And I'm just like, yeah, so it is what it is. And I get in the car and we're driving home and my husband's like, well, babe, you're the one that wants to move. Maybe we should look at some other houses because I don't want you to put all your eggs in one basket. And I got irritated, I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, I already told you this is my house. The real estate agent called the next day and she was like, someone put in an offer way more than yours and do you wanna bid above it? And I was pissed. I was like, I'm not gonna pay more for that house anyway. It was supposed to be my house. And then some stuff started happening. We booked a trip to Paris. I was like, wow. I took my sister with me. My best friend, a photographer, came with me. And that was our first time in Paris. The real estate agent called me a few days later and she said their offer fell through. She said, do you still want to put an offer in on this house? And I was crying. I was like, you mean my dream house that I told you was my dream house that I wasn't going to buy, no one else was going to get? And she's like, yeah. And the owner says he's willing to keep it as the price that it was initially listed. Can you go ahead and sign your contract? This, remember, Sue's self-value was November. February 2023, we closed on the house. March, which needed a $30,000 down payment. So I had to hustle. I was like an extra 30 grand and we don't want to just pull that out of saving. And I just threw this on my husband that we're moving in November. Here's February. And now here we are closing and in March. And that is my beautiful home. I don't think if you remember, but I was in foster care, kicked out at 18 and didn't have a house. And now that is the beautiful home that I like to say that I manifested that house. We had a house before, but it wasn't my dream house. I manifested that house. I didn't look at any other house in the state of Tennessee. I just didn't want to. It didn't feel right in my body. And that happened. It really happened. And it just changed my world. It allowed me to slow down more, to remember that I don't have to try to rush through everything. I don't have to try to figure everything out. I don't have to make everything so hard. I don't have to work 10 times harder. So, all right. So, we went through a lot of my stuff. Is there anyone out here that feels like they're going to be able to come up? So I want to show you guys what I do with myself, and I want you guys to do it in the audience. That way you can feel it as well. So I'm going to give you some examples of what you're going to be asking yourself, what you are going to be feeling. Because what I found out is if you can have that emotional connection to your goal, imagination beats logic every single time. Doesn't matter. You think about the people who, when they were inventing airplanes and they said they wanted to fly, it was just a thought. It was an imagination. And I'm sure the people that were back in the day, they're like, you're going to fly? Are you freaking crazy? You've broken a leg because you jumped off the roof. You're going to keep doing it. It was an imagination. It was a thought. No one had developed it yet. So maybe your goal, you have to be the one to develop it. Maybe there's been no one in your family who's gone to college. Maybe no one who's ran a business. No one who has had a dream of like, oh, I want to be a millionaire one day or have a private jet. People are like, why are you even thinking about that? But if you go back to being a kid and you think about, I'm sure some of you have kids, but kids have imaginary friends that they become attached to. Those friends are as real as my dogs are at home. And when they start to lose them, they go through like emotional loss, they go through crying, they go through all of that. And it's not real to us, but it's real to them. And that's what I always have to remind myself. If it's real to them and we can imagine our goals, it's real to my brain already. My brain already thinks I have it, and now my brain is just going to go out there. And I'm not asking how. I'm not like, how am I going to do this? Show me how. Show me. And it generally happens. So what I'll do is I'll have someone from the audience who's comfortable coming up and just kind of like letting me work through it, because I have some specific questions that you have to ask yourself as you're going through this, because I don't want your goals to be weird and vague. Not weird, they can be as weird as they want, but I don't want it to be vague, right? I don't want it to be like, maybe sometimes next year I'll, open a studio. No, that's not very specific at all. So I want us to get specific. But is there anyone who is willing to come on up here? I don't want to have to call on anyone, so I'd prefer for someone to raise their hands if they're comfortable coming up. Ooh, okay. Oh, okay. Here, I'm going to pull this here. Perfect. Kellen's going to go ahead and he's going to lock you in. Right there. I really, really love your skirt. Okay. Perfect. I'm going to grab this book and just a little water. Okay. Are you nervous? Just a little bit? Okay. So we're just gonna do it. I just want you guys to go ahead and experience this at home if you can. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna ask you very specific questions. These are gonna be things that you can also ask yourself later on. Okay. I'm just gonna be writing them down. So I want you to sit back and get comfy, just like you're at home in your bed. Take a big deep breath in. Big deep breath in. And exhale, centering your eyes to the center of your forehead. And exhale. I would love for you to tell me about a goal that you have for yourself. What is that goal?
To get healthier.
Healthier? What does healthier mean for you?
Be able to go up the stairs without Losing my breath.
Okay, going up the stairs. I feel like that's a good goal. When would you like to start getting healthier, you think? Do you have a timeline on it? When?
In now.
Okay, look, we're starting now. Okay. We're going to start today by making healthier choices.
Yes.
I want you to tell me, I want you to think as clearly as you can. When you think about what it's going to be like for you to be healthier, what are you going to see with yourself?
I'm going to see myself in the gym,
Okay, you're going to be in the gym,
playing with my kids without losing my breath.
playing with your kids. What else are you going to see?
Confidence.
You're in a confidence, okay? What else? I know you mentioned going up the steps. I'm going to write that down.
Okay.
What else will you see for yourself?
No diabetes.
Okay, you're going to reverse your
Yes.
diabetes. And as a nurse practitioner, I do want you to know that that is very possible to reverse your diabetes and never have to be on medicine again. That is a beautiful accomplishment to have. Whew, that's a big one. Tell me a little bit about when you feel like you're healthier starting now, what will you feel in your body? I know you mentioned confident earlier, but what else will you feel?
No knee pain.
Oh, okay, no knee pain. What else will you feel? Will you feel proud of yourself? Will you feel joy? What else are you going to feel?
I'll feel proud
Proud? What else?
and happier.
Happier. That's a good one. What else? What do you feel like you would hear? Would you hear more laughter? Or
Yeah, that's what I'm visualizing in my head.
Laughter? Okay, I didn't even know, but that's good to know. Okay, so you'll hear laughter. What else do you feel like you'll hear around you? What will you hear from the people around you?
I probably won't hear my family say, "Are you still on the diet?"
Okay, they'll just see it. They'll
Yeah.
just see that you're doing better. So do you think they'll mainly be telling you congratulations, or what do you think? Oh, it's
Sorry.
okay. You are doing okay. That's okay.
I'm sorry.
No, I don't. I want to say this, right? Crying is totally okay. I cry probably every day. I cry in the shower. Your tears have salt water, and it allows you to heal. So this might be a moment of you starting your healthier journey right now by just releasing these tears and releasing these emotions. So don't feel like you have to feel ashamed of it or feel like you have to hide it. It's a beautiful release. Okay?
Okay.
I'm so proud of you already. I can already tell you're about to leave here feeling healthier. So I want to ask you, is it okay if we continue on?
Yeah.
'Cause it is powerful feeling what you're going to have, right? Where are you now, do you feel like, in relations to this, to getting healthier? You already had the thought.
Well, I started. I lost
already
10 pounds.
started? Oh, you gotta say that. So you've lost 10 pounds already. So you've already started. So is there evidence that you can become healthier? Have you seen anyone become healthier around you?
Yes.
Yes, so there is evidence out there. So there's evidence that it's possible. And then what else will this allow for you to do? I know you mentioned like the stairs and stuff like that, but what else will it allow for you?
I think it'll make me more confident to be out there with my business.
Oh,
as
so it's going
well,
to improve your business.
because I don't want to be on video or anything, or go sometimes to networking because I feel like they're just looking at my weight.
Okay. Okay. So it's going to allow you to be able to be out there more. It's going to allow you to network. Your business is going to be better. I'm sure money is going to start flying in because you're showing up. Is this for you? Is you getting healthier? Is this, at the end of the day, is this for you or for someone else?
For me,
This is only for you?
and for my kids, because
your
I
kids?
can't run with them.
Okay, so you're going to be running with your kids. They'll be happy that you're running with them, but this is for you. Are you the only one in charge of being able to change this, to make yourself healthier? Is there anyone else who can do it for you, or only you?
Only me.
Only you? Okay, good. Is this an appropriate goal for you to have?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. What are the drawbacks to it?
I don't I don't see.
There's no drawbacks? Okay, no. I want to know. Like, I got to know, is there drawbacks to you getting healthier? It sounds like there's none at all. What about your resources? What resources do you have to become healthier?
What do you mean by that? Sorry.
Resources like, do you have the ability to start walking? Can you go to the
yes.
gym?
Yeah.
What else? Okay.
The
so you have
gym,
walking.
choosing better
Okay.
stuff.
Choosing better food. What else?
Meal prepping, some snacks. Because if I don't have my snack, then I get hungry and then my body's like, just stop at that McDonald's right there.
Okay. So you're already thinking of different ways to
Yeah.
prepare yourself. So you're going to have snacks. Is there a way you can go ahead and state this in a positive aspect for me? So like when I like to restate it, when I say positive, for example, I can't wait to be healthier because it's going to be amazing. I'm going to feel proud. So I want you to say it in a positive way.
Okay. Without crying.
Without crying, you can cry if you need to. You got to say it,
I
right?
can't wait to be healthy so I can feel confident and run with my kids.
Okay, good. So what I like to do is I like for us to imagine that it's already happened. I don't want you to think of it's going to be next week or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is get you to go ahead and close your eyes for me.
Okay.
And I want you to think as clearly as you can that you're starting today to become a lot more healthier than you are already. You already have the evidence that it's possible. You've already lost 10 pounds. I want you to imagine yourself, seeing yourself in the gym, being more confident, going up the stairs with no knee pain, running with your kids, hearing yourself laughing, hearing them laugh, hearing your family just knowing that they are proud of you, knowing that you've been able to reverse your diabetes on your own, knowing that you're just having the time of your life, knowing that there's absolutely no drawbacks to any of this, knowing that it's appropriate, knowing that it's just going to allow you to make more money in your business because you can show up to networking event. You won't have to think about that old weight. You can just make money and it can flow to you. How does that feel in your body when you think about it like that?
Feels good.
It feels really good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So what I like to do is when we do that, I like to write it. I am healthy. I am reversing my diabetes. I am going up the stairs without pain, as if it's happening now. Because remember that reticular activating system we just talked about and how good you just felt? It's going to go into overdrive for that side quest. It's going to go into overdrive to find these different things that you want because it knows that it's going to make you happy now and it knows that it's going to make you feel good. But what you have to do is you have to get up and remind yourself what it's going to feel like. You have to get up because if you don't think about it, the consequences or all the other stuff, you just forget about it. And remember, we have 70,000 thoughts going through our head every single day. And we have 11 billion bits of things going on around us all the time. And it's up to you to make sure that your goal and the things that you want is front and center every day, or the media, your friends, all of those things are going to distract you. And those 70,000 thoughts that you experience every single day is going to be about things that you don't even care about. I like to think about it like when I'm on TikTok and I'm scrolling and I don't see something that's interesting, and when a thought comes up that I don't find interesting, I'm like, I'm going to scroll by it, and it's gone. And then put in a new positive one. Find a positive video. Think about what it feels like. If you can find all the good things, that's what I want you to think about every day. And then I'll share with you guys, because that was a powerful experience for her. You can see that she was able to feel it in her body, but you saw also how good it felt at the end. She was smiling, thinking about running up the stairs and laughing with her kids and all the things that are going to come. But also, she was able to admit to her brain that she's the only one who can make this happen. She was able to tell her subconscious mind, there are no drawbacks to me having this. She was able to show her subconscious mind that there's already evidence that it can be done. Other people have done it. She's already lost 10 pounds. and her body from now on, if you can continue to hack your brain every day to feel this, it's going to make you go after it. And then, I mean, next year when I see you, we might be running up the steps together. So I just
like
want
a
to say
plan.
thank you so much for sharing with me.
Thank you.
And then I will go with my morning routine with everyone. Give me a hug. Thank you so much. You're going to do amazing.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
no,
I
I
forgot
forgot.
about that. It's okay.
Okay,
I really am proud of you. Thank you so much for coming up. And Kellen will probably just grab that from you in just a moment. So, for everyone at home, I'm sure if you guys were able to just experiencing that, just standing next to her, I could feel the emotion, but I could also feel the joy of what's going to happen in the next few months, the next few weeks, the next few years even. And I hope that whatever goal you had at home that you decided that you wanted to use to visualize that, to feel what it feels like to be real without having it yet, if you're able to go through and just do this every day to get realigned, to bring that goal back to the front, to remember why it's important, you're going to have quantum leaps. You're not going to just spend the whole time on scrolling on Facebook anymore. You're going to be like, oh, I'm going to feel so good if I can get out there and I can go do this, and then you go do it. Or you're going to feel so good about the money you're about to make because you're like, man, this is going to pay for my new Paris trip. This is going to pay for my new cowboy boots. Whatever it is, you got to feel it. You can't just... Sometimes I think we try to make everything just completely logical, but your body, again, that imagination is what it needs. You're a kid at heart. Like, we're in these grown-up adult bodies, but we're all photographers. We all see how happy our clients get when they get to come in and they get to dress up and they just get to be free and they just get to experience this amazing thing. You get to do it in your mind and then you get to bring it to life. So here we go. So some of the things for setting your goals that I like to remind you: get specific. Some of us are specific manifestors. I'm a specific manifestor. If you don't know what that is, you can look up your human design to see if you're non-specific or specific. I won't go into too much detail about that. But I'm specific, so I need to sing it. I need to dance it. I need to write it. I need to have that vision board that I have. I have to see it every day because, man, sometimes I walk down and go to the kitchen to go get something, and I get there and I've already forgotten what it was that I walked into the kitchen for. It's the same thing with your goals. So put it somewhere that you can see it every single day. Make sure that your goal is measurable, right? Don't sit there and know that you are at $7 an hour and you say, well, tomorrow I'm getting that Ferrari. Someone might crash a Ferrari into your house. That's not what you want. You don't want to go steal it, but you want to make sure that they're measurable. I like to be realistic. Like, I'm living in the real world. I know that I had to take steps throughout my photography. I didn't just go from 0 to 250 or keep going. No, it started at like a $6,000 first year, then it went up, and then it kept going up, and I was like, oh, wow, I can make more, and it just kept going from there. So remember to make sure that they're measurable and then also achievable, right? Obviously, I don't want you to sit here and say, well, tomorrow I'm going to grow wings and fly to the moon. That doesn't make sense. And then you're going to sit there and say, oh, well, that manifesting it didn't work. My goal thing didn't work. But you're trying to grow wings to go to the moon. So make sure that it's achievable and then it's relevant, and make sure that there's a timeline, right? Your brain, it needs that information. It's just going on a side quest. So it needs to know that we need to do this by January. We need to be going to here by tomorrow. It needs to know the timeline. That way it can go ahead and accomplish what the task is that you just assigned. It's just a side quest is what I like to call it. And I tell my husband, I'm like, we're going on a side quest today. And it works because he's a gamer and he remembers. He's like, okay, we're hacking our brain and now we're going on a side quest. He got a Corvette and he can't stop telling me about all the silver Corvette now that everyone in town has. And I'm like, I told you this is what happens. So yeah, and then there is this part. So principles of success, right? This is some of it that I wanted to go after. You need to know what your outcome is. You were very specific with your outcome. You knew all the things that was going to happen. You knew that you would be walking up steps. It's not just you don't know your outcome and it's just a vague thought. Know your outcome. If you don't know what your outcome is, start visualizing what that outcome could be. Start thinking about it. You can write it as a story if you need to. You can put it in your video. Just talk. Just be like, this is what I'm going to do when I'm making $300,000 a year. I'm going to be in this. I don't know if you can afford a private jet, but I'm going to be in this. I'm going to be in that, and I'm going to be doing more of this. You need to get specific on what your outcome is. You have to take action. That is the one thing. I see it on TikTok all the time, and there's these girls that are like, no, you can just sit there and think about it and journal it, and it's just going to come and happen. It's not like that. I mean, I make money in my hammock now, and it feels easy, but it's because I've done the work. I have ads going on in the background. I have my virtual assistant who is calling and posting for me. I didn't just shut off everything and then sat in the hammock and someone called me to spend money. No, they saw my website, they found me somewhere. And as I said, set the time for your brain, because here's the thing, your brain doesn't know which true or false, but it also has no concept of time. Time is what we as humans have created. It has no concept of it, unless you put it on there and you're like, in 6 months, and then it's telling it. But if you're like, one time I might be financially free or something like that, you gotta get really specific with it. And I wanna say gratitude. That's one of the biggest things. Why would I send you anything else if you're not thankful for what you already have? And I mean, life sometimes, it doesn't have to be the best thing going on, but can you find one thing you're thankful for in your business, in your health? I hope it's okay that I use you as an example, right? You're getting healthier, but gosh, you're able to still walk. That's amazing. The fact that you have the opportunity to walk down this pathway, so that's what I like to remind it. I'm walking down this pathway, I no longer like it, and I'm ready to change. What do? I just turn off, pick a different pathway. I don't have to keep going down the pathway that no longer serves me. So make sure that you're practicing gratitude every day. So when I do get that client who tells me no, I'm thankful for them. I'm thankful that you told me no now. That way you don't come into my studio, have me do 6 outfits, and all of this extra stuff, and then I don't get a sale, and I have to go home and complain to my husband that I was up there for 6 hours, we did the wardrobe consultation, and she didn't buy anything. Thank you for saying no. Thank you for creating a space for the person that needs to be there, who's willing to come in and spend what I need them to spend. That way I can make the money that I want to, someone that I want to create. So whenever I hear a no, I don't get really upset about it anymore. I'm like, oh, thank goodness. We won't waste your time, and we won't waste my time, because the thing is, they're going to love the pictures that you guys take of them. They're going to be sad too, and then that's just more negative stuff going back out there. We don't need it. Be open to change. If you have been doing the same thing over and over and over again and it is not working, why would you keep doing it? That's the definition of insanity. Like, it's a clear definition. And don't get me wrong, I've done it a couple of times. I'm like, let me just see one more time. No, if it's not working, be open to trying new things. It doesn't have to be set in stone. It doesn't have to be just one person's way of doing things. It can be your own. And I'll share with you, when I was nursing, I got to 245 pounds. My doctor wanted to put me on Xanax, and then he also wanted to put me on high blood pressure medicine because I was 25 with high blood pressure. Ran upstairs to a code, and I got there and I was short of breath, and my teammates thought they were going to have to code me instead of the patient. So it was just like a wake-up call, and it was like, oh, okay, I have to change or I'm not going to be here anymore. So be open to change. And please, 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 don't let society trick you into thinking that you don't have 5 minutes to sit in the morning and figure out what your goal was. If you can't do it because, okay, you got to drop the kids off to school, you have to make breakfast. I'm sure there's a ton of things that's going on. I don't have kids, so I do have a little bit of leeway. But if you do have kids, can you work on your goals while you're driving them? Obviously not typing or writing it, but can you maybe sing it? Can you get the kids to play along with it? Like, oh, this is what we're gonna do. This is what we're working on. Make it fun somehow. Don't make it something that you dread. Because if you dread it, then it's like, your brain's not gonna wanna work for it. It's like, why am I gonna go after that again? It's just not. So being open to that change, and then the daily routine, that's the fun part. This is really quick because this is just mine. I like to make sure I keep things simple and short for myself, because that's just how my brain works. If it's too long, it doesn't work for me. So when I get up, let's say I did check my phone. Let's be honest. You do get up and you instantly check your phone and you saw something bad. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to breathe. I'm going to go through and I'm going to breathe and release the stressors of yesterday. I'm going to go through and I'm going to breathe and I'm going to release the tension in my body. I'm going to do a body scan. What's going on? Are my shoulders up to my ears right now? Because that's how a lot of people walk around. They're like very tense. No, relax it. Shake it out. You might need to like dance it out a little bit. And I think about my goals. And I personally like to touch my tummy because I didn't used to do that before. And I put my hand on my chest. And I start thinking about these goals and what's going to happen. Right now, we're paying off our credit card. That way my husband can go to school. That way I can become a kept woman one day. Like, I'm just thinking about how amazing that's going to be. I'm not thinking about the next 3 years I'm going to have to hold everything down. No, I'm thinking about the end results of how amazing it's going to be, what it's going to allow for him, how confident he's going to feel, how happy I'm going to be a kept woman, right, to do all my stuff. So all the stuff that we just learned, I bring it back into my brain and I say, what will I see? What will I feel? What will I hear? You're using different sensories in your body. You're using your vision, you're using auditory, and then you're using your kinesthetics, which is your feelings. That way you can feel what's going on. And then that's what your brain will focus on. It gets realigned. And if you've taken notes for some of the other things that I mentioned, like writing it down, making sure that it's your password, singing it if you can, you have to, out of these 70,000 thoughts a day, for the love of God, I just ask you to please at least put your goal as one of them out of the 70,000 that's going to happen. Bring it to the front. It's okay. It's not selfish. You can make it fun. Just learn how your brain works and then utilize it. Use it to activate those hormones. It's being activated. There are MRI studies that show that people who practice more gratitude every day, it's laying those new train tracks. Instead of waking up and being just angry, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I saw that on the phone, but I'm really thankful I can go down these steps. I'm really thankful I can have orange juice. I'm really thankful my husband remembered to take the trash out today. All of those things are little small things that happen that you can be thankful for, that just activates your reticular activating system to look for positive things throughout the day. So this is just what I do. I hope that you guys are able to take some information from today and learn from it and implement it into your everyday routine. I hope that you're able to take it and learn how to use it for your business, for your personal life, for your relationship, for all the things, because if all of you can see today, when you can tie something emotional to your goal, it makes it feel real because your brain has no idea if it's real or not, and imagination always wins. So with that, we'll come to a closure, and I want to thank everyone who's been here watching. I want to thank everyone who participated, and I want to thank all my viewers at home, and I hope you have a wonderful time hacking your brain moving forward. So reach out to me if you guys have any kind of questions, okay? I guess I was supposed to open up for questions. Should I do that? I forgot. Oh, yeah. Do you guys have any questions for me? My bad, guys. I was like, we're out. But what all questions do you guys have for me? I can answer like technical stuff. I can answer the imagination stuff. I'm open to whatever you guys have. Or what did you guys think? Don't forget to use the mic if you use any. And I don't know if there's any questions in the chat at home because I don't have the chat. So sorry about that, guys. But if you guys are at home with questions that you're asking, you can always ask them in the group, and I'll try my best to answer it once I get free to the computer. But yeah, what all questions do you guys in the audience have for me today?
So my question for you is, I love the idea of putting these down and doing these daily. I'm thinking my biggest goal, I'm like, this is going to take a really long time. But I have multiple goals, like I want to maybe add running or something like that. How many do you visualize every day?
It's different, right?
Yeah.
So in the morning, you said there's running. What else is on your goal?
I'm going to be starting a podcast. Like, so that's the big one.
So you're starting a podcast and you're running, like physically running?
I was just thinking of something else, like whether it's running or some other form of exercise. Like, if
Okay,
you've got
so
a
could
bunch
you
of
imagine
goals.
yourself in the morning waking up and going for a run before you jump on your podcast to boost your dopamine? Because running is one of the best ways to do that, but dopamine boost, and you're going to need it for the podcast because you want to be on high energy. So you can imagine as much as you want is what I tell myself. I imagine myself in my house. It's not that your brain is going to get confused or anything like that. It's not a one-task person. It's a supercomputer. That's why it's 11 million bits of information that it's taking, and it just can't process all of it. But then also why you have 70,000 thoughts throughout the day, because it's always working on something. So if you can give it more things to work on that serve you compared to that doesn't serve you, go for it. Imagine yourself running before the podcast.
Yeah, that was a question. I can just see myself in the morning spending an extra hour now manifesting versus just journaling or doing the other things that I do. I'm like, okay, let's go ahead and occupy 20,000 of those thoughts with just my goals.
Yeah, and you can. If you, like, it's going to take discipline. It's going to take time. I'm a quick person, so, like, it doesn't have to be just when you wake up, right? But you could be, forgive me, guys at home, but you could be on the toilet thinking about your manifestation goals. It could be in the car while you're driving, that you are making sure you're the one having that thought, that it's not just what the world is throwing at your brain and then telling your reticular activating system to focus on that. So you can do it all throughout the day if you want to.
That's good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have a question for me? No. Okay, and I can't see you guys at home, so with that, we will close out. And yes, you can think of many things that you want to manifest. And again, I thank everyone so much for being here, and I thank you guys for being interactive and just being absolutely amazing. So I hope you will take what I do in my everyday life and implement it in yours. That way you can go after your dreams and goals, okay? All right. Thank you.